Hey, fellas. It's the Cleveland Steamers. It's your co-commish. Listened to a podcast today. Tried out a new Dynasty podcast put on by the Dynasty Nerds, which sounds right up my alley. And what they talked about today was if they had to redo the 2014 rookie draft today, knowing what they know right now, what would it look like? So I just wanted to talk about those results. I didn't do my own list because I listened to it, I jotted it all down, and I can't really argue too much with what they had to say. So my opinion might differ slightly from what they had to say, but for the most part, it matched up. So back in July or August or whenever we did it, the 12th pick in our actual draft was Jeremy Hill. Who they would take with the 12th pick right now is Dante Moncrief, who is on Scott's team, has him on a very good contract. I know that Lori wants a little piece of Moncrief. I don't know if Scott's going to give him up. They mentioned in the podcast, and that's also the same link that I sent, where Des Bryant is the number one dynasty option right now. Granted, I'm only going to have him for 2 more years probably, but number one dynasty option. I personally wouldn't put him there, but I'm happy to see him there. And I guess to be clear, they are a typical dynasty league where you just get to keep the guys forever. We don't have that, so it is a little different, but still, Des, awesome. I was really close to trading him, and I'm glad that I didn't. But anyway, back to Moncrief. Reggie Wayne might retire. It looks like Hakeem Nicks is out of there. Got Andrew Luck, probably the best quarterback for the next 10 years. I'm not even gonna say probably. He will be the best quarterback for the next 10 years. You got Hilton and Moncrief, 2 young wide receivers. Moncrief could be a stud. So they've got him at 12. The 11 pick in our actual draft, Jason actually got the steal of the draft, and Odell Beckham Jr., Jordan Matthews' division rival. Who the guys would take if they had to do a draft right now would be Allen Robinson. So Scott already off to a good start here. Got the first 2 guys, or the last 2 guys in their first round. Also on a pretty good contract. Bortles will be a year older. Shorts might not come back. Maybe Blackman comes back. I'd be actually okay with that, shockingly. But Scott has himself a couple good wide receivers, and we're not done with him yet. Number 10. Lori took Terrence West. I will not be talking about him later. One of the worst draft picks in our draft last year. Not the worst running back one. Well, it's going to be a while before we get to him. But not a great pick. Crowell is outpaced him big time. And West is not looking like he's going to really amount to anything. So that's Lori's first strike in this particular draft. I don't know why this is so shaky. I don't know. That's going to be really annoying to watch later. Maybe you just want to listen to this one and not watch it. Who they would suggest taking number 10 is Eric Ebron. And they actually talked quite a bit about how they're not giving up on Ebron yet. I was semi-close to trading him. I was in talks about trading him. I have no other tight end right now, so I can't trade him. Not that he's necessarily going to be really good this year, but they're saying by 2016 they expect him to be a top 5 tight end. That would be awesome. I don't necessarily believe it, but that would be awesome. I'm pretty sure I'm going to hang on to Ebron. I drafted him too high. He will be coming up again later. But they suggest taking Ebron at 10. At number 9, Scott took Jordan Matthews. We'll talk about him again later. Who they suggested taking was Devontae Adams. So this is a guy that is on Lori's team. Lori did not get Devontae in the actual draft. Got him in the free agent auction. I think he's paying more than $10 for him. I want to say 14. So if he would have swapped out Terrence West and just drafted Adams, he'd be paying less for him. But he does have himself a decent wide receiver, especially if Cobb doesn't come back. He does have himself a decent shot at a really, really good wide receiver. Now, if Cobb comes back, probably see the same Adams that we saw this year. He get like 3 or 4 touchdowns, only like 400 yards or something. But being in that high-powered Packers offense would really, really help him if he was starting opposite Jordy Nelson. Number 8. Back in July or August, Roger took Kelvin Benjamin. We'll talk about him again here shortly. Who they would take if it was redone right now is Brandon Cooks, and that's on Jared's team. And now this might be a little unfair because Cooks got injured. Lori, I thought you were on strike. Whatever. Cooks, he did get injured, so we didn't see his full potential. Drew Brees is obviously on the downside of his career. He is not. This year was terrible for the Saints in general. I'm not a huge Cooks believer, but they've got him at number 8. Number 7, Lori, second strike, Devontae Freeman. Now, it's possible that Devontae or Terrence will turn into an actual player. Rookie seasons did not look good for them, though. Who they would suggest taking at number 7 instead is Carlos Hyde. Now, Carlos did not have a great season this past year either. Gore will not be back. It remains to be seen what the coaching staff is going to be like in San Fran. As long as Kaepernick is there, I think they're going to be a running team. And I think that Hyde is going to be a 3-down back. So I think that this is a good pick. I needed tight end help. So I do kind of regret, though, taking Ebron over Carlos Hyde. Because those were the two that I was debating back when Scott and I made that trade for me to move up to the 5 spot. Number 6. Andy took Carlos Hyde, number 6. They would take him 7 right now. Who they would suggest taking 6 right now is Jordan Matthews on Scott's team. So Scott has Jordan Matthews, Allen Robinson, and Dante Moncrief. So 3 rookie wide receivers. If he can hang on to these guys, if 2 of them become studs, Scott's sitting really, really good for the next few years. At the number 5, I took Ebron, and it was too early, and a lot of you said it was too early even at the time. I still believe in you, Ebron. Not giving up on you. Who they would take is Kelvin Benjamin. So Roger actually did pretty well with his pick. Did move up a couple slots. Over 1,000 yards, double-digit touchdowns for him. He's a big receiver. He will have his drops, but he, even with the drops, with all the touchdowns, I think that he's going to be a good player for a while. Something else that they talked about on the podcast was how awesome this draft class was, and I think that last year's is still pretty good as well between Le'Veon and I still believe in Gio, Eddie Lacy, all the wide receivers who are escaping me right now, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Hopkins. So back-to-back years of some really, really good draft classes. At number 4, Jared took Brandon Cooks, got injured. Maybe we can't really hold that against him. But this is steal number 1 of the draft. He fell all the way to 12 in our draft, and that is Jeremy Hill, the best non-wide receiver. Head and shoulders above all the other rookie wide receivers. It sucks for me as a Geo owner. I think that they can coexist. I think that they'll both be valuable. But Mike has himself a really good running back for a long time in Jeremy Hill. Number 3, Mike took Mike Evans. They would have taken Sammy Watkins here. So Sammy and Mike actually flip-flop 2 and 3. So I'll talk about them together here. I'm on record. I know I mentioned to a few of you I would have taken Mike Evans number 1 in the draft last year, and that's not just me being a Buccaneers homer. I liked him better than Watkins. I didn't trust whoever ended up going number 1 in our draft. Can't even remember that off the top of my head. And he's just played better than Watkins. And Tampa's going to get Mariota, and I see him being a very good quarterback, and him and Evans making a nice little rapport there. And yeah, if you didn't take Evans, I think that you missed out. Going into the season, I thought he was the best prospect. Sammy only drops from 2 to 3, and it's not really his fault. He had E.J. Manuel and Kyle Orton throwing to him this past year. Kyle Orton said, "Screw you, Buffalo. I don't even want to play for you anymore. I don't care how much money you give me," and retired. Maybe Buffalo can get a quarterback in the draft, but, I mean, they're not going to get Winston or Mariota. I don't know who they get that's going to really help out Sammy next year. So we might be looking at 2016 before Sammy really gets any help. So I would have taken Evans above Watkins at the beginning of the year. Definitely do that now still. And then the number 1 pick. Back in July, Andy took Bishop Sankey, because that's who Jamie Eisenberg told him to, and I'm all for going with an expert that you know, that you trust, but he led you astray here. I told you not to take Sankey. I didn't trust him. Now, it is tough to find good running back studs. You swung for the fences, and you missed. Sankey did not even make the top 12 on the new guys list today. So, big swing and a miss. But luckily for you, you still ended up with the best rookie, and that's Odell Beckham Jr., because Jason traded him to you just before he started going off. So you do have that going for you. You still have the best rookie, and maybe Carlos Hyde ends up being better than Jeremy Hill. It is possible that you have the best rookie wide receiver and the best rookie running back. So yeah, that's the Statisfaction report. No real new information. Just wanted to talk about the past year's draft. Who had good drafts? I would say that Mike probably had the best draft, getting Evans and Hill where he got them. I think Laurie had the worst draft, especially for not including Devontae Adams in there. Giving him credit for that. Swinging and missing on Freeman and West. Just the running backs did not pan out this past year. Hopefully with Melvin Gordon, Amir Abdullah, I know I'm forgetting a few other guys. I think that the running backs are going to be better next year. That's all I got. Got to get those participation points back up. Peace.